So I came across this article in the Wall Street Journal, and the title was "Young People Are Taking Over the Workplace, and That's a Problem for Bosses." So the issue so basically what's going on is that obviously you have the baby boomers, right? A lot of them are aging out of the workforce, and now you have this new workers, the Gen Zers that are coming into this workforce, and companies are trying to figure out how to work with them. Okay, because obviously when it comes to work ethic, there's obviously a generational gap with how the baby boomers work compared to the younger generation. And if you ask like older generations, what they would say how the younger generation is working, they'll probably say they're entitled, they're lazy, they have poor work ethic, they're handheld when it comes to the work. And if you ask the younger generation about the boomer, what they will say is that they don't understand. Like, we want to make sure that we're put in a position to succeed, right? We want to make sure that we feel purposeful in the job that we're doing. So they have a lot of demands in what they want. They want to say in how they work. And if you ask baby boomers, they will say, okay, that's a lot. Like, we never had all that. We were just told to get to work and figure it out. But of course, the younger generation doesn't want that. They want to make sure they're provided with the best chance to succeed and do their job at the best of their ability. But you can probably, argue like, all right, sure. But when it comes to understanding, a lot of people, when it comes to work, people say, all right, sometimes you just have to figure it out. But is it the company's responsibility to make sure that you put your employees in the best position to succeed? So obviously there's just a disconnect, and obviously companies are trying to figure out how to bring the younger generation, because obviously they are the future when it comes to the workforce, how to bring them into their company so they can provide them the best opportunity to succeed and do well in a company. So in this article, I'm gonna read this real quick, and then it'll give you a little breakdown of like what's going on, like what are Gen Z's expectations, what issues like companies are having when it comes to bringing this younger generation of workers into their workforce. So they start off, it says Gen Z workers are expected to outnumber baby boomers in the workforce this year. If only their bosses could understand them. So it says companies find their youngest employees the most difficult to work with. Survey shows. Now executives are making effort to engage them more. They are arranging mentorship for employees who enter the workforce remotely during the pandemic. They are giving guidance on how to communicate and when to keep their thoughts to themselves. And they are offering new kinds of perks like on-site therapists. So it says, all right, so Christine Heckard, chief executive of Zappa, a professional development app for Gen Z, told the audience that younger generations want meaning, mentorship, and a sense of purpose. Okay, and this message didn't go well with everyone in the room. One board member in attendance asked why any of those things should be the company's responsibility, and that's a good question, right? A lot of people would say that's not the company's. That should be the company's job for you to find purpose in your job. It's work, and in a sense, I kind of agree, because it's like when I went to these jobs, like I knew it's a job, right? You go there to put in work, and you get paid for that work. Right? To find purpose, it's hard to find purpose in somebody else's job, right? That's somebody else's business. That's somebody else's vision. They're going to find purpose because it's their business. For you to just step in there and find purpose in something that you didn't create, it's kind of hard to do that. And I always knew that, which is why I always wanted to start my own business, because like me working for somebody else, that's not my vision. I only have so much control. So it's hard to find purpose in something that I didn't build myself. But you have a lot of these young workers that they want to feel purpose in their work. Okay, and it's hard to do that when you're working for somebody else. You might as well just start your own business, but unfortunately this is not the case for a lot of these young workers. So it says Heckard, where am I? So it says Heckard, who says she has been heckled in the past on the subject, still makes the case that companies will benefit from helping to fulfill the needs of younger workers because they will be better employees. Quote, they want security and this chance to matter, said Heckard. She advises companies when they're not heard, when they don't have the opportunity to grow, then they're not appreciated, then they're check out pretty quickly. And a lot of people will tell you that, like, if a lot of these younger generations don't feel like they're being used correctly, or they're not heard, or they're not given an opportunity to voice their thoughts on how things go, they check out and they want to leave. And you can see it, you can hear it. Like, you go on social media, so many people feel like they have no fulfillment in their job. They feel like they're not being heard. Their thoughts are not valued. Okay, and they check out and they want to quit. They want to leave. They're like, you know what? I don't feel any fulfillment here, so I just want to leave the company. And you see a lot of people doing that. They'll check out, leave the company, and go somewhere else. And you see a lot, and obviously that's not good, especially for a lot of companies, because then it's hard to retain a lot of employees. But If you want less, employees leaving, then obviously you got to find a way to communicate them and try to implement them into the workforce. So it says a lot of employees are recognizing that Gen Z is going to be such a huge part of the labor economy. It already is, that they have to respond, said Kat Ward, who works with big employers to improve workplace practices. He said employees are trying to make sure they maintain relevance. So it says next, it says nobody told them how to be. All right. So it says, all right. So it says some of the dissatisfaction executives say stems from how younger generations enter the workforce. Now, and that's the thing. Like, all right. So whose job is it to prepare the younger generation into the workforce? Right. You would think that college should do that, right? You go to college and it's supposed to prepare you for the workplace. But I think we all can agree like that's usually not the case, right? Like for a lot of people, people would say college is a scam, right? It's just there to, they feed you with a bunch of information, useless information, and then they throw you into workforce and good luck trying to find a job. So obviously no one had, for me personally, I believe that, look at right out of high school, you should be jumping into the workforce, finding a job, developing skills, working, getting used to the whole work thing. And as you figure out what you're interested in, then if you need to go somewhere and then get a certificate or maybe get a degree, then you can go to school and figure out how to get that degree so you can therefore advance in your company and make more money, right? Jumping into college and then jumping into the workforce, clearly it's not working. So I think a lot of people, for me personally, I just say jump into the workforce, figure out what you like, and then, all right, if you found out a path that you want to go to, figure out, all right, what degrees or certificates you need to get in order to make more money or in advance in your career. So maybe the fact that nobody told them how to be, whatever that means, maybe it's the process in which they're funneled into the workforce, right? So maybe that's the case. So it says during the pandemic, many Gen Z employees completed internships entirely remotely. They missed out on side-to-side learning, and that helps early employees acclimate and thrive in new jobs. With hybrid schedules and offices still half empty, many young workers are finding it that they lack genuine relationships at their companies. And that's another thing, right? You had the pandemic where people were starting to work remotely, and now everybody wants to work from home. So it's very hard to develop that relationship and develop that work ethics that's going to help you advance in your career if you're not at the office. So you see a lot of companies telling everyone to come back to the office, and obviously they're met with a lot of resistance, but it seems like more and more people are getting back into the office. But yes, obviously it's very difficult to develop that relationship and develop that work ethic if you're working remotely. So that's definitely another issue. So it says at Booking Holdings, which operates travel sites in Priceline, the average age of the employee is about 37 years old. Chief Executive Jen Fogel said he has noticed that the newest generation of professionals needs additional guidance about workplace norms. Some younger employees have been known to give presentations with more than 40 pages of slides. Executives have had to stress that less is more. This is one of the first jobs they've ever had, and nobody told them how to be, Fogel said. So it said during Booking's virtual all-hands meeting, managers have reminded workers not to leave snarky comments while people are speaking. Despite that, younger workers don't always know what is constructive versus inappropriate. Fogel said he is careful not to generalize them as softer or less motivated. In every room, there's always going to be incredibly hardworking, self-driven maniacs, and we have a whole bunch of them, he said. And then there are people who are just showing up. So now they get into the whole free therapy. So it says last summer, credit card issuers Synchrony Financial asked dozens of new Gen Z hires at the headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut to tell executives what benefits and culture they hope to find in an employer. The answer surprised executives. Some in the cohort of about 100 people said they wanted free on-site therapy at work. Now, that's crazy, right? Like when you hear that, how many of you have worked at a job where they had like on-site therapy work? And the thing is, and this is what a lot of like say older generations would criticize about younger generations, the fact that they feel like they can't handle stressful situations, right? They can't deal with adversity. Like once they're hit with a little criticism or adversity, they buckle their knees and they can't deal with it mentally. So when they're talking about on-site therapy, it tells you that, all right, do they have the mental toughness to deal with the work, the stresses at work? And some would argue like they clearly don't. And it shows right here where a lot of them said they want on-site therapy at work. Right. And obviously it depends on the type of job you have. But I mean, if you're dealing with an office job, like, I mean, I mean, how many even jobs even have can even offer this perk? The only companies I would think is that big companies like these tech companies, Google, Microsoft, or these big companies where they have a lot of money where they can do that. But most companies won't be able to do something like this, right? So it said maybe 25 or 30 years ago, it would have been a gym, said Casto, Synchrony chief executive. Now it's someone to help me figure out how to have the right mental wellness. The company earlier this year began offering free in-office sessions on Synchrony Stanford's campus. The therapist, Jennifer Nielsen, works from a serene place. Where all that? Where is it? All right, so it says Nielsen is employed by a third party, though Gen Z staffers. It really is all across, whatever. So it says, all right, so not so different. So it says Hilton executive Laura Fuentes and Gen Z and millennials might not be so far apart from their old counterparts at times. They are simply more vocal about what they want. Younger hotel employees express an interest in being paid after each hourly shift. Hilton made that an option, and older workers now use that benefit too. We tried to pick up on things that actually end up being good for everyone, said Fuentes. Maria Amato, a senior client partner, and okay, whatever. So we started having this conversation 25 years ago about when we were concerned about Gen X. She advises companies not to apply approaches based purely on generational differences, in part because older employees might want many of the same things, including more flexibility. So it says, all right, living on feedback. It says at the semiconductor company SI Time, instead of annual reviews, managers meet with their employees individually once or twice a quarter to check in, share feedback, and find out more about employees' long-term goals. This is in addition to what are known as problem-solving one-on-one meetings, which are more time-sensitive and focused. The younger crowd lives on feedback. Okay, and that's another thing. A lot of these younger workers, they want feedback, right? They want to understand what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong in order to improve upon on their work, right? So it's important to them that they're given feedback and told what they can do to improve, because they obviously want to do well at their job. Okay, so they need a bit of like hand holding, of course. They need someone to be there to make sure that they can give them guidance on how to become a better employee. And maybe some companies have the resources to do that, and some don't. Some will consider it a waste of time, but this new generation of worker, obviously you're gonna have to figure out how to cater to that situation, to that issue, because clearly the feedback is important to them. So it says the company launched a program that takes the top 20 to 30% of individuals with teams and offers them additional mentorship opportunities. The program is also meant to help ensure that high-performing juniors employees can see that they are having an impact. What they want is the meaningful way of working, said Vance. Even though we pay very handsomely, he added, it's not enough to do that. The design software developer at Canva has put supervisors through a leadership coaching academy in this past year, aiming to reinforce that younger employees expect clear goals and guidance on how to develop new skills. Roger said Canva is already reaping the benefits of giving Gen Z employees, in particular, more conversations around their long-term goals and how their work plays in the company's purpose. Managers frame conversations around what are the goals that we're going to take on together, she said. How do you contribute towards that? So yeah, so that's pretty much it. So obviously trying to figure out how to work with the younger generation is going to be key for a lot of these companies, because obviously the older generation is gone. You have this new generation of worker that's coming in, and you have to figure out how you can bring them into your company and you can be successful at doing that, because clearly they have different standards when it comes to work, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not. A lot of these companies are going to have to figure out how to work with them and be successful at that. Not going to be easy, because we live in a lot of these employees. A lot of people would say that they're entitled and they just don't work hard. But I guess other side would disagree and just say we just need a little bit more guidance and a little bit more whatever it is to make sure that we're put in a position to succeed. So those are my thoughts. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure to leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and share. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe. All right, so you guys take care and have a good one. Later.